Baruch Hashem, we're in our 5th session of 6th on Midas of Parenting. We've learned a lot. We saw Seder, Charitzut and consistency, listening, and finally being Nosei Ba'ol as critical Midas on their own and critical to parenting. I hope together with all the details, a theme arises. Midos are the basis. I look around and I see who are the people who make it long term. Bali Midos. When the dust settles, the Bali Midos is still standing. That's on the positive side. On the negative side, the Jewish world is unfortunately racked by so much machlokes. I don't think this needs a lot of explanation. What's that about? Not bad people, but so often people, even very talented people and very well-meaning people, who didn't work enough on their midos. So for sure, when it comes to parenting, we need to work on ourselves. Fathers in their way, mothers in their way. Today, I'd like to discuss another midah that many of us don't even realize is a midah. Simcha, joy. Joy, like Seder and Charitzut, lets us get a lot more done. Reb Chaim Volozhiner famously said you can get so much more learning done when you're happy than when sad. But it goes further than that. Joy lets us get through the difficult times and expands our minds as we're doing it. Being in a state of joy, not frivolity, we can see and experience much that otherwise we would have missed. Even in the time of the Gemara, we know they would open their lectures with Milsa de Bichusa, a joke, something humorous to open up the listeners. Moshe Shapiro draws from the Gemara in Eruvin, who calls an expanded tefach, a hand's breadth, a tefach sochek, a laughing or joking hand's breadth. As sign of what joy does, there's a tefach and a tefach sochek, an expanded tefach. That shows us what joy does. Joy expands us, gives us different perspectives, different horizons. We see how seriously Chazal took this midah by teaching that there are no less than 10 names of joy. There's Ditza, there's Chedva, there's Simcha, there's Sason, there's Tuv Levav. And let's remember that 10 O's represents a full set, as in 10 Dibrot, 10 Makot, 10 Ma'amaros, Shebehem Nivra, Shemayim Varetz, 10 languages of Tefillah. That means there's a whole world of joy with different flavors, and a person needs to be a connoisseur of happiness. He needs how to know to look for Simcha in his life and Sason, Rina and Ditza. He needs some Chedva today. For sure, some people find it easier to be joyful, and for some it's more of a challenge. But that doesn't excuse the happy amongst us for being even happier, or the less happy from becoming as happy as they can. I heard from the Mashgiach Rav Schuster a great thing from Yisachar Meir, the Rosh Yeshiva Netivot, and someone who had a very difficult life. He had lo aleinu, no children, and serious diabetes. He said that atzvus, sadness, is related to atzlus. Atzvus relates to atzlus. Sadness relates to laziness. One can work on happiness in 3 general ways. 1. Chitzonius ma'or pnimius. Our outside exterior, the way we carry ourselves, affects our interior. As the Sefer HaChinuch explains in Mitzvah Tes Zayin. Let's look at this example. This is from none less than Peanuts. I'd like to share this with you. So Charlie opens up and says, "This is my depressed stance." When you're depressed, it makes a lot of difference how you stand. The worst thing you can do is straighten up and hold your head high, because then you'll start to feel better. If you're going to go get any joy out of being depressed, you got to stand like this. I once broke it down and expanded this idea to 3 ideas. It's the old psst. You've always wondered, what's the psst all about? I'm about to tell you. Psst stands for P, S, and S. P is posture, S is smiling, and the final S stands for singing. Those 3 things, how we carry ourselves, whether we smile or not, and finally whether we sing a tune, will affect our outward happiness and help our inner happiness. Second, deeper, our attitudes. We need to focus our minds on happy things. If it's that everything in the world is for our good. If it's that we're healthy or alive or Jewish or that we have children or health, count your blessings. The more our minds are focused happily and not negatively, the happier we'll be. And so too the opposite. Think negative thoughts and you will be unhappy. Third, we have to keep working on making our lives meaningful. The meaningful existence is the happy existence. The more day for day, hour for hour, minute for minute, we do meaningful things, so too will be our happiness level. The trick, of course, is that Candy Crush, the NFL, and Lashon Hara present themselves to us as really enjoyable, but we have to remember these things don't bring real joy. It's meaning, it's Torah and mitzvahs. We're just touching on ideas which need a lot more explanation, and maybe in the future we'll expand these ideas. On to parenting. Especially in our homes today, there's a lot of tension. Jews tend to be anxious. It's because we care, we have so much going on. Some have financial troubles, in-law issues, tension amongst the children, shalom bayis. It's very difficult to get rid of all this, but we need a power against it. We need joy and a sense of humor. Your kids need to see a fun, happy home. I see men walking around doing their best Charlie Brown, and I think to myself, his poor wife and kids, who died? Come on, be freilich. There are a lot of very enticing things in the streets today. We have to make sure that our homes are happy and geschmack. And if it comes hard to you, so what? Learn to be more of a geschmack. You'll be better off for it. None less than Moshe Feinstein, Zatzal, said the great Yerida, the downfall of Yiddishkeit in the United States, was from Shver Tzuzayin Yid. Those Giborim, strong Jews who stayed from, but couldn't be joyful about it, didn't transfer their Judaism to their children. And as we say this, let's add that besides the stamid of joy, which is spoken about until now, we have to give our children joy in Yiddishkeit. Show your kids you love Shabbos, brachos, learning, a visit from a poor person, and this will work better than all of our drushes. One vital point about keeping a positive, happy nature in the home. We've all heard of the 80-20 rule, which means that 80% of our interactions with our children should be positive against the 20% negative. I'd like to make 2 points about this important rule. One, why in fact is the rule so one-sided? Think about it. That's one negative interaction for every 4 positive ones. That's setting the bar quite high. 1 for 4. I owe this idea to Chana Sarah Radcliffe. She writes in a book on Chinuch Habanim that the idea is like this. And when you hear it, you realize it's so true. Unfortunately, negative things make much more of an impression on us than positive ones. So it's not really about 80-20, it's about measuring things out. Because those 20 stand strongly against the 80. I read an amazing example of this once. Can you imagine all of Yankee Stadium applauding for you? It must feel unbelievable. Well, it happened to the writer of a favorite TV program, as the camera does in these events, focused on him, and the stadium realized who was there, and they were all applauding for him. Perhaps they were all giving him a standing ovation. He must have felt amazing. Let's call him Tom Douglas. Well, Tom was riding high till he left the stadium, when someone flew by in a car and screamed out, I'm editing, "Tom, you stink!" What do you think stayed with Tom? Crazy. Unfortunate, but true. So often our negative interactions with our children make more of an effect on them than the positive ones, which that's why we have to bring the bar up and try to get to that 80-20, and for every 1 negative interaction, have 4 positive ones. The second point is this. Here's the good news. Part of the 80% and 20% isn't just straight interactions, but it's the tone and mood in the house, which transfers through to the children. If you and your son are reading separately, but close to each other, pleasant books, that can count as part of the 80%. So too, when a husband and wife speak nicely to each other in front of their child, that's also an 80%. Get the idea? Unfortunately, when there's negative tension in the house, even if it's not directed at the child, that also counts in the 20%. So that's the second rule, an idea of this famous 80-20, which gives us a little bit more of a picture how the 80-20 rule really works. In closing, I am mevarech myself and all of us that we should truly be happy and make our families so too. Good luck.